I'm about to show you 5 ways you can 5x your sales with Google Ads fast, ways which I've never really shared before on my channels. And these are the same approaches I developed myself after scaling over 137 e-commerce brands this year alone to multi 6, 7, and even 8 figures in revenue. So if you have been looking for that breakthrough that'll take your brand to the very next level with Google Ads, you'll probably find it here. But with that, let's go over the first way you can use to 5x your sales very quickly with Google, and it is to implement a customer list. Now, this customer match list is what I like to call it. Essentially, you can do this via the tools and settings section, going on over to shared library and going to the audience manager section. This is basically a hack which I've been using for a very long time now, and this hack basically lets you use all of the previous customers you have. If you have been running the brand on Facebook ads, on TikTok ads, or wherever else you might be getting sales from, it basically supercharges the Google Ads algorithm and supercharges the pixel, so you can now start getting sales much faster, and the algorithm can start showing your ads to the right audience at a much quicker pace. And the way to do this is fairly simple. First and foremost, within the audience manager section, if you just click this plus button, there are different audiences which your brand needs to create within this section, because keep in mind the Google Ads algorithm, when you're running campaigns, it will look into this audience manager section even if you don't target them directly, and it will try to understand who your customers are through this. But the very few audience lists that you absolutely must have is, first of all, website visitors. What you want to do is you want to get all of the website visitors in the last 365 days. Basically, that's the first one that you absolutely must have. Once you get that incorporated within the audience manager section, second is adding YouTube users. If you have a YouTube channel for your e-commerce brand, this is super helpful. This is going to really start getting those sales, because usually only people that are even interested, even a small bit, will watch even a small portion of your video. So targeting YouTube users directly is one of the easiest ways to start getting those extra sales, to really optimize the algorithm and supercharge it. But the final one you absolutely need to have is the customer list. You can also add Google Analytics in here. However, customer list is the one that's the most important. Now, some brands may not be eligible for customer match, as it says right here, depending on what you sell. But if you are running a brand where it is something that you can potentially do, for example, if we're going over to this brand right here and further go to the audience manager section, we can see that this brand is allowed to do that. So what you need to do is you need to basically connect either a new data source. Maybe you can add those customers in via Amazon or via anything else you might have, or you can upload a file manually, which is something I recommend you do, because this is where the supercharging really kicks in. The algorithm will look into these members you have within this list, and it will use these data points to further find the right audience for your brand as a whole. But that's one of the easiest and the fastest ways to 5x your sales very quickly. Second way now is to do something as what I like to call the Performance Max full asset build. And to illustrate that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on over to a brand which we're working with under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, which, by the way, if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the very next level, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see if we can potentially work together and make that happen. But essentially, this full asset Performance Max campaign is a campaign which, first of all, if you look at the results, we just recently incorporated this on August 5th, and we can see the results have tremendously increased, as well as the ad spend. This is a very useful trick for those brands, especially with not as much search volume. So what we did is within the asset group section, instead of making this Performance Max go after just shopping only or feed only, or just adding a bunch of different asset groups in here and segmenting out products unnecessarily to add more complexity, we kept things simple. We just went after one whole asset group, which is filled with some of the highest quality images, logos, videos, headlines, etc., with all of the information filled, and we added in search themes that were as closely relevant as possible. But here's the interesting thing. What we did is we used the first trick I mentioned of the audience manager section, and we added all of the specific audiences in here, which are the highest quality, things such as the users that went on the website, things such as people who already purchased this product, or things such as people who added to cart but didn't purchase. All of these I consider high quality audiences, and the algorithm, what it will do is it will look into them to understand who your perfect customers, and from there it will start to show your products more and more to those kinds of customers, lookalike audiences in a way. It's literally that simple, and as we see right here, it's really starting to take this brand to a whole new level of scale. But this now brings me to the third way to really 5x your sales with Google Ads, and that is to use a manual bidding brand search campaign. Now, you might be thinking, how is a brand search campaign really going to even help you get any sort of traction? Well, the reality is brand search campaign should always be part of your strategy. It doesn't matter if your brand has competitors or not, because what a brand search campaign does is it essentially preserves your brand identity, makes it so that when somebody types in your brand's name and your ad shows up first as a sponsor listing, it adds a little bit of authority as well. It's not just about getting a sale, which you would have already gotten. It's about also making the user look at your brand in a different way and feel a little bit differently about your brand, which is what a brand search campaign does. But this brand right here is a perfect example of how you can hack the brand search campaign and make it so that you're not wasting too much money on a brand search campaign, and still it's very, very profitable. So for example, right here, this top search campaign is a brand search campaign. It's running at 113x ROAS. If we look in the last 30 days, it spent barely $244, but made $27,000 back. And this brand right here, the CEO of this brand, also had the same kind of issues with brand search. They didn't want to be wasting too much money on kind of keywords that would have already gotten them sales. So what we did is we incorporated this manual bidding approach to this brand search, which essentially is running the brand search campaign at a very, very low bid. We initially started this brand search campaign at a 10-cent bid, but just recently increased it to 20 cents because the 10-cent bid was barely even showing to any audience. It was not really getting any sales at all. And this is much better than running a brand search campaign with any smart bidding based approach, because if you run smart bidding with brand search, it will try to bid higher. It will end up wasting too much money, which is not something you really wanted to do. So controlling the bid on a brand search campaign is very useful. In this situation, we saw that it ended up getting us over 113x ROAS. But this brings me to the fourth easiest way to 5x your sales with Google Ads, and that is by bundling up your best sellers together. Now, we did exactly that for this brand as well, where we found out that some of the products were doing extremely well. We ended up bundling them together and offering them as a bundle. As you can see, it has gotten 5 sales so far, and it's running at a 56x ROAS. I mean, if we look right here, we barely spent $10 and made back $606. The average order value was also increased because now we're bundling up 2 best-selling products. And keep in mind, the approach for bundling, it doesn't have to be too fancy. It could literally be just maybe bundling up baby socks with baby diapers, or it could be maybe bundling up a t-shirt with a sweatpants or something like that. It doesn't have to be too crazy. It doesn't even have to be complimentary. As long as these are best-selling products, there's a very high chance some users would want to purchase both of these products together as a bundle. And that's exactly what we did. But the key here is you don't want to just run these bundles in the same testing campaigns as the other products. Instead, you want to have a separate testing strategy just for these bundled up products, which is what we did right here. We launched a standard shopping campaign, and this is just testing those bundles that we have, but it is running at a 95-cent bid right here. So we are letting the campaign run, spend a little bit of money to really understand how these bundles are doing. And this now brings us to the fifth way to 5x your sales very quickly with Google Ads, and that is via YouTube retargeting. Now, a perfect example of YouTube retargeting is this brand, which we have been working with for quite some time now. We really incorporated a YouTube retargeting approach here, which seems to be doing the trick, and it's starting to really gain some traction. So if we look right here in the last 30 days, it has spent $352 and gotten a 6.42x ROAS. This is one of the easiest ways to 5x your sales, depending on how much budget you let the YouTube campaign spend. But it's extremely easy because you're essentially just retargeting the traffic, which would have been lost via shopping campaigns or search campaigns or just about any other traffic source you might have going on. And the way to do this is fairly simple. You just want to be basically targeting your site visitors. You don't want to be going too crazy with the YouTube campaign trying to go after any types of specific manual bidding of any sorts, because YouTube retargeting or just retargeting in general, when it's not performance max, it should be based around a smart bidding based approach, which is essentially what we have done right here. So if we look right here, you can see the bidding strategy is literally maximize conversions. That's it. We're going after a smart bidding based approach. We're not setting any types of restrictions. We're not doing anything else to prevent it from not getting results. And as a result, it's actually getting us very, very profitable results. The break even for this brand is a 3x, but we're running at over a 6x ROAS, and all we're targeting is just website visitors. Now, you can get a bit more granular. You can do things such as people who added to cart but didn't purchase, etc. But we wanted to keep things very simple and straightforward, and all we're doing is we're testing out different types of basic video ads right here. Some of these are vertical UGC based content, others just normal horizontal YouTube videos. And as you can see, Google is doing a very good job of choosing what's working the best according to its audience and who it's showing up. So here clearly we're finding a few winners, which is these horizontal styled videos. The vertical ones are not really doing that well, but the main goal here is to submit multiple different creatives to the YouTube campaign and just let it go out and test. You could do 3, 5, I recommend doing around 5 different creatives and then just letting the algorithm test these different creatives that you have running, and then basically from there, choose the winning creative just based on the audience as a whole. But these are 5 of the easiest and quickest ways you can start 5xing your sales with Google Ads. Again, some of these ways may take a little bit longer than the others, but the crucial thing is that you implement multiple of these together or all of them together to really see that boost in the revenue very quickly. But again, if you run a brand doing $1 million a year, you need extra help scaling your brand to the next level, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me, and let's see if we can potentially work together and make that happen. But check out this video right here on the newest product testing strategy we're using to test different products very quickly with Google Ads.